The first call came at 2:13 a.m., a time that doesn't mean anything until it happens to you 3 nights in a row. Lila woke to the vibration dancing across her nightstand, the screen blank except for the word unknown. She answered without thinking, the way you swat a mosquito in your sleep. At first there was only breath, soft and even, a metronome for someone else's chest. She listened, then laughed shakily, then hung up. Her apartment sighed around her. The refrigerator rattled, the old pipes grumbling like distant thunder. She drifted back down. The second night the call came again at exactly 2:13. The breath on the other end matched hers this time, inhaling when she did, exhaling when she did, and when she held her breath to catch it off guard. The other line held too, then released with her in a small, private hush. She told herself it was a prank. Who pranks at 2:13? A person who knows you, a voice in your walls, a glitch in a system that has replaced wires with ideas of wires. Her apartment wasn't new, but it was new to her. She'd moved in with a box of dishes and a plant that looked happier when the lights were off. By day, it caught low sun and the smell of coffee from the cafe downstairs. By night, it leaned toward the window as if listening to the street. She set the phone to record on the third night. When the call arrived, the breath was impatient, a dog at a door, and beneath it something else, a thread on the floor that pulls when you step on it. She slept badly, woke early, and played the recording with the volume low. The waveform crawled across the screen, a landscape of her sleep. She scrubbed back, scrubbed forward, then slid the speed to half. The breath thickened into a whisper caught inside a blanket. This time she heard words. "I'm still in your house." The plant shivered in the air conditioning that wasn't on. Lila stood, suddenly unwilling to put her bare feet down. It was a voice like the sound you make to yourself when you rehearse a conversation aloud. She opened her closet even though it made her feel childish. She checked the bathroom even though she was not the sort of person who checked the bathroom. The shower curtain was an ordinary shower curtain. The mirror offered her face, and for an instant, a second Lila a fraction behind, a rehearsal of her fear. She started taking pictures, angles of corners, the undersides of chairs, the seam where the wall met the ceiling, proof she could scroll through to keep her formed. Her phone made the brisk shutter sound, and each photo landed like a breath on a winter window. She bought a silver door wedge and jammed it under her front door at night. She slid a chair under the handle because that's what movies tell you to do. She slept with the lamp on, then off, then on again, trying to decide which made her feel more visible. The calls arrived anyway, patient and precise, always at 2:13, as if some metronome no one else heard ticked only for her. On the fifth night, she answered with the phone already on speaker and a second phone set to record. "Who is this?" she asked, then, hating the cliché, "What do you want?" Breath. Her own, she thought, played back a half-second off. She smiled into the receiver to change the shape of it to adjust the sound, and the breath smiled too. She could hear it, the way a smile lifts the inhale and softens the exhale. She closed her eyes. "Where are you?" she whispered, and got the answer she already had. "I'm still in your house." Sleep left her then, a lover who took his toothbrush and didn't text. Lila paced. The apartment followed her with its old bones and newer electrical hum, its drawer that stuck and its window that opened only halfway as if the building did not approve of leaving. She brewed coffee at midnight. She washed dishes that were already clean. She played the recording at different speeds until the whisper became a voice and the voice became hers, but colder, like a recording of a room without people in it. It is easy in such hours to make an enemy of mirrors. Lila took hers down, not superstitious, just tired of being made to look. She wrapped it in a blanket and leaned it in the closet, then slid the closet door shut and stacked a suitcase in front of it, as if confidence were a furniture arrangement. The sixth night she did not answer. She lay in the dark, hand on the phone, and let it buzz and buzz until it stopped. 10 minutes later, a message arrived, a voice memo without a number attached. She pressed play. The sound of her own keys in her own door, the sound of her steps down her own hall, and then the quiet, then a small laugh she knew intimately, because it was the one she used when something hurt but she wanted to be polite. Lila stood in her doorway, meaning to run or to scream or to apologize to a ghost for intruding. The apartment was the apartment, the chair still under the door handle, the plant newly inclined toward the hall as if it could see something on the other side. She listened to the message again and opened her camera to record the room while it played. In the screen's rectangle, the hallway's end was darker than it should be, a shadow that had chosen a shape. She didn't sleep the seventh night. She waited. At 2:13, the phone did not ring. The absence rang. The apartment drew itself closer and became smaller around her like a hood. At 2:14, her bedroom door, which she had locked, eased inward an inch, then another, as if the air had become heavier on the other side. She whispered, "What do you want?" to the room, and the room whispered back in the precise timbre of her own throat, "You never asked me to leave." She laughed then, a bright wrong sound, and said, "Then go." The laughter in the air stopped. Something like a step retreated. The door settled. Quiet towered like the dark does when you've named it. Morning felt like a story she'd told herself to get through the night, but she made coffee and climbed the stairs to the roof to drink it in wind. The city was itself again, trucks muttering, pigeons negotiating. When she went back down, the chair had shifted a degree, only a degree, but enough that she knew the apartment had moved when she was not in it. On the floor near the closet, a smear. She bent. Not dirt, not blood, the delicate crescent of moisturizer her palm had pressed against the mirror last week. Lila ate breakfast in the hallway just in case. She stared at her door as if waiting for her life to knock. When dusk came, she did the simplest thing. She packed 3 bags, the plant in a box. She slid the mirror out of the closet and set it against the wall to keep the apartment from inventing any new corners. She watched herself move. A second behind still, but only a second. Better than before. She took a breath to say goodbye to something, and another breath arrived with it from the other side of the glass, matching and then guiding, and the sameness of it soothed her against her will. She reached for the mirror to cover it again and caught the reflection of her bedroom door. In the glass, the door was already open, and she was already walking through it, smiling a smile she didn't know she had. The reflection. Lila lifted her phone and began to record from a lower angle than she would ever choose. The tiny red dot blinked. The real door stayed shut, and she stood in front of the mirror watching herself live a second in the future. "Leave," she said, because she wanted to see what the other her would do. In the mirror, her mouth shaped no. The future is not a negotiation. She put the mirror down and called the building manager, then the police, then her best friend, then nobody. At 2:13, her phone didn't ring, but her friend's did, and when the friend answered across the city, she heard Lila's breathing and Lila's voice whisper, "I'm still in your house," and then a small laugh meant to be polite. The landlord changed the locks the next morning. The chair scraped the floor once when they moved it, as if learning the sound of going. Lila left the plant by the window and walked downstairs into a daylight that did not ask her to measure it. She did not turn back. The mirror she carried felt lighter when she held it with the glass facing her, heavier when it faced out, as if a wind blew very gently from inside. The new tenant moved in 2 weeks later, a man who liked quiet and organization and never answered calls from unknown numbers. He hung his own mirror in the hall. At 2:13 his first night, the call he did not answer tucked itself into his voicemail with a small satisfied click, and in the morning he played it and heard himself breathing steadily in a room that didn't sound like his yet. Sometimes the simplest hauntings are the ones you build with your own shape. Sometimes the house is only a mouth that learns your rhythm and keeps it. And sometimes when you ask it to leave, it only moves a room over and waits for you to come back.